Hello, welcome to A Book in 5 Minutes with me, Lindsay Milner. Today I am looking at a book called The How of Happiness, and it's by Sonya Lyubomirsky. It's subtitled The Practical Guide to Getting the Life You Want. Now, if you've followed me for a while, you'll know that I'm really interested in what we can do to make ourselves happier, to have better lives and be happier with our lives. So I came across this book as part of the Master's Programme in Positive Psychology, and it is one of the central textbooks that we were expected to read. Lyubomirsky is a US researcher. A lot of the research in positive psychology does come out of US universities, and she has a couple of sort of main points of this book are, first of all, that happiness pie is that 50% of how happy we are is genetically fixed. 10% is based on our life circumstances, and the other 40% is something we can do something about. It's how we live our lives, it's how we approach things, it's mindset. What can we do to improve our happiness? It's actionable strategies that you can take. So the book is kind of in two parts. The first part is about the research and about how this is all, how she's worked all this out. She also has a questionnaire where you can have a look at what activities are likely to be of benefit to you in changing your level of happiness in your life. Because obviously if you're not going to enjoy a particular activity, it's not going to make you feel very happy, is it? So I thought the questionnaire was useful. I thought the first half of the book was quite depressing. I don't like this idea that there's nothing we can do about the 50% of our genetic predisposition to happiness. 40%, okay, that's a chunk, but I just didn't like that whole 50%, you're stuck with it. And it's the whole sort of nature-nurture argument, and you can argue about how relevant it is. The other thing on that is that her statistics have been called into question, that she's applied some kind of mathematical formula that you can't really apply in these circumstances. So she has backtracked a little bit from that. Obviously the book, the book's written, the book's out there, but in research she has backtracked a little from that stance. So, but as I say, to read it, I just felt it was a bit depressing. The second part of the book I felt was much better, because that is talking about, she has 12 strategies that you can use, things you can actually do. Now you're talking my language, I can take action, it's much more practical, much more pragmatic. I prefer that part of the book. And it's things like, how can you work to improve your optimism? How can you undertake gratitude exercises, because that will improve your outlook on life and how you feel about your life generally. Can you use meditation? Not medication, no, that's meditation. How can that help you to improve your happiness levels? And she also talks about flow, improving flow. And I will come on to flow, because that is one book that I do want to review at a later date. So, some things to recommend it, some maybe not quite so much. I also found that the lack of stories, because I guess it's written as an academic book rather than a personal development self-help book for a lay audience, I found the lack of stories made it less readable. So should you read it? I think if you're really new to thinking about how you can improve your happiness levels, I personally would start with Shawn Achor's Happiness Advantage. I found that a more interesting read. It was maybe not quite so much based on the research, but it does have that scientific research background to it. but I just found it a lot easier, more entertaining to read, and it was also, you know, it did have examples and practical stories, things that just made it more engaging for a lay reader. So I would start there. If you've already read that, if you are more interested in either the actual research, maybe you could look at the first part of this book. But I think where this book really adds value is with the actual strategies, the practical advice on things that you can do. You know, do the questionnaire, have a think about what that shows you, and maybe have a go at one or two of the practical strategies. I think that's where this book has value. So I wouldn't rush out and buy it unless you are particularly looking for those actionable strategies. So that's this week's book. The How of Happiness by Sonya Lyubomirsky. I'm Lindsay Milner, and I will see you again next time. Bye.